That's a flowery mug you got there, Gus.
That's pretty nice, huh?
Why did you pick that one?
I just felt like, it's something a little different up top. Sort of like this episode. It's a little different, beautiful.
A little something different at the top of the Polite Fight
yeah.
episode? Yeah. I always just go for the one that seems to have the least crud inside.
The least crud? Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Polite Fight. We're back after our Memorial Day hiatus. I'm John Tatey, Editor-in-Chief of the AV Club, joined by video producer extraordinaire Gus Spellman, and we're talking about Season 6, Episode 7? Are we already up to Episode 7?
Yeah.
Broken Man? Is that the title of this?
Man.
The Broken Man.
Who do you think they're talking about with that?
Oh, they could be talking about a number of people, but I think that they are talking in particular about the Hound, which is where we begin our conversation today. I was just delighted to see this because it's so pretty.
Yeah.
Like, yes, let's go out to a meadow and build a church. And I'm totally on board with that as just sort of a palate cleanser for Game of Thrones, aren't you?
Yeah, it felt to me like, especially with the music, these like sort of like very sweet strings, it felt to me like the Shire, basically. You know, the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring.
And I think more than being pretty, the setting of these Hound scenes also have the effect of making this story feel separate from the rest of the world. And really, I mean, it was almost like a short film that played out over the course of the episode, and you could almost lift it right out, and the rest of the episode wouldn't be affected at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but it still felt so self-contained as to be like that there was not that much interest for me in it. I think because I couldn't get invested in all these characters that he's invested in and are sort of like motivating this arc a little bit, you know, or the Septon, like aside from the fact that he's, you know, a famous actor that I recognize. And so I think that makes his redemption feel like it's not really earned. Do you know what I mean?
But he's already been redeemed a couple times.
In the show?
We don't need
so we don't really need to.
We don't need him to be super redeemed
That's a
in
good
this
point.
episode,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's get into specifics. Let's look at the first shot, this nail being taken out of the fire. What do you make of this?
So I actually think this shot is great. I mean, it's really like, this is the Hound story in a nutshell. He gets burned, he becomes a tool for other people's use, and then sticking him into the water, sort of like cooling him down. Seems like that's what's really happening in this arc with him right now.
I mean, yeah, he's finally having a moment of quiet in this pastoral setting, right? And I love that notion that the nail sort of exemplifies the Hound. Great reveal in this sequence too, isn't it? To have the bit of comedy here, to have the one guy carrying this huge beam. I didn't know it was the Hound though. Did you call it? I did not.
No,
call
I did not call it. Nope.
Okay.
I did not. But I love the moment where it, you know, it goes up to his face. It's a great reveal, and then they just smash cut to "Who let the dogs out?" Yeah, another scene that sort of evoked fantasy movies of yore, I thought, was this siege scene. Somebody in the comments said Rembrandt Q Einstein, a very smart guy.
Oh, there we go. That's a good one.
Said, I was just thinking between the siege, the weird leather helmet hats, and the fact that they all had shit all over them, it was an extremely Python-esque sequence. And I thought that that's true. Very similar to any number of scenes in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And it is very, you know, it's very funny.
Well, let's look at how they structure the comedy here, how they structure basically the stage to set up this comedy. We have these two buffoons who clearly are not going to make good on their threat, and they're looking up. They seem so feckless and powerless. That dynamic is pretty obvious, but there's an added ingredient here that informs the comedy, which is that you've got Jaime and Bronn, and we just have a couple shots of them looking judgy, you know, for lack of a better word, right?
It gives you a margin of safety, basically. You sort of know, like, this is not consequential because the two characters who we know already, they seem to have no anticipation about what's gonna happen in this scene. That lets you know, like, nothing bad's gonna happen, so you can just sort of sit back and relax and watch this. And I think that allows it, that's not what's funny about it, but that's what allows the scene to play out funny instead of
Yes.
instead of tense, you know?
That's basically the director directing us.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean? Because yeah, you're right. If it were just these two guys from the Frey household and Blackfish, neither of whom we really know that well, you'd sort of be feeling your way through the scene.
So we've got those two very hapless sort of new characters introduced, but there's one new character in this who everybody seems to love that's not hapless at all, which is Lady Mormont here.
Yeah, everybody loves her, and how could you not? We love her, I think, because she defies our expectations at every turn, right? The Jaime and Bronn shot set up your expectations, and it's like, okay, here's what you should think about this scene. And this does the opposite, where it sets up your expectations just to defy them.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, I love how many times they do it too, and they do it very eloquently. You know, it starts with the exterior shot, and it's like, wow, this is a cool palace, looks to be in a nice location. You know, this is a good neighborhood for palaces. And so you're
It's
like,
beautiful,
okay,
yeah.
whoever lives here must be powerful. Then they give you the shot where it reveals, oh, it's just a kid. Okay. So now your expectation is ping pong to the other side. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be them condescending to a child. It's not going to be them asking somebody powerful for help.
Right, because in the reverse shot, you have the shadow of Jon sort of lingering over it, and her face, I mean, she's dressed in black, so you can't really see her body, so her face is just this little dot in the sense she couldn't look smaller in this reverse shot that finally reveals her to us.
And then it turns out she's a very eloquent, intelligent, fair-minded leader. So you go back to the sort of what you thought of before with this
Right.
little new information. And then at the end of the scene, when she says we've got 62 men, you go back
sure.
again to be like, oh, this is not something that's that consequential. So it goes from like big deal to no big deal to big deal to no big deal. And each time you get kind of a laugh out of it too, I think.
Totally.
You get like it's fun every time.
Hey, let me get to my favorite shot from the episode, can I? My favorite shot of the episode is this shot of Queen Margaery from behind. There's two things that strike me about this shot. First of all, it's such a nice way to reveal that she has the crown and she has been fully restored to her proper place, right? And what struck me about it too is it's so symmetrical, and I think it fits with the way she's trying to present herself right now, like
Very composed.
exactly, composed. I like that word, yes. I contrast that with the shot of her slipping the paper into Olenna's hand. It's such a quick little, and the movement is kind of jaggedy and dirty, I think is the word that you used when we were preparing. It's a nice contrast in directing and in editing to show us the two sides that Margaery is playing right here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would make too much. I mean, I think that is still like a pretty standard.
How else would you edit that?
Yeah,
sure, yeah. But I think to me it stuck
Yes,
out as a
for sure,
contrast to
yeah.
that first well-centered shot.
Yeah. To me, the shot from this scene that stuck out was the very first shot that introduces this. You can see her hands on the book. I think that what it's doing in this scene is very similar to what you're talking about. It just shows how careful she's being. But it also reminded me of a shot from very early in the season where we start the scene with Cersei waiting to go to Myrcella's funeral. It starts with her hands and she's pulling out the thread.
But in Cersei's case, we talked about how it signifies how she's coming apart or fraying at the very least. And here, Margaery could not look more put together.
Sure, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Do we have any comments left from your comment harvest?
So this is going back 2 weeks now since we missed last week, but somebody on our last polite fight, Sam Moo, or Mao, M-O-U, said, I love the callbacks to season one in this episode, especially Arya. Her being at the top to watch the play instead of down in the pit was a clear emotional link to season 1. So he's talking about her watching the play where her father's head gets cut off, and he even went to the trouble of including a link that does two split
good
screens.
work, Sam.
And we talked about how these shots of her felt a little boring. And I think maybe if those shots in the first season had been more at the top of my mind, maybe it would have had more of an impact watching it.
Okay, that'll do it for Polite Fight this week. For Gus Spellman, I am John Tatey. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your great comments. Especially Sam, that comment was basically designed for Polite Fight. That was Polite Fight catnip. And of course, Rembrandt Q Einstein. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching. So long for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.